Hey, it's Monday, April 13th, and this is the beginning of the next unit. This unit will last this week and next week, so weeks 3 and 4. And the unit will be covering both photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So today, let's start with photosynthesis. This is LS1-6 photosynthesis. Here I have a diagram, and the challenge is to look at this diagram and to see what three things that you notice from this diagram. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff happening here. The first thing to notice is that photosynthesis happens in the leaves of cells. This is because they have chloroplasts. These are the green organelles inside the cells, and allows it to trap sunlight energy and create glucose. So if you look closely at this diagram, you'll see that three things are going in. The first thing is sunlight energy. So as you can see right here, the sunlight energy is going in. So the leaves want to be exposed to the sun. You don't want to have your leaves locked away in a closet or something. The second thing that goes in is water. And so the water don't come from the leaves. They actually come from the roots. And the roots then bring the water up through the leaves. And it goes into the chloroplast. The last thing that goes in is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide will go through the bottom. So if you remember that really silly joke about what's the matter with you, the stomata allows the carbon dioxide to go in. So these three things are necessary for the photosynthesis to happen. Then if you look closely, two things come out. So here it says that after all this happens, sugar comes out. We have another name for sugar. It's called glucose. And there's one thing that actually isn't listed in this diagram, but you probably know this. One really good thing that comes out of plants and it helps us breathe is oxygen. So one of the things that comes out of this process is oxygen. So this is LS1-6 photosynthesis. You're going to have a My Way. It's going to be due on Friday. So make sure you start working on that. And here are the objectives. What you want to do is you want to know what goes in and comes out of photosynthesis and where it happens, and then even to draw that. Okay. So your My Way, like I said, is on page 60. You're going to talk about photosynthesis, where does it happen, what are ingredients and products, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about cellular respiration, where does that happen, and what are the ingredients and products to that. So you have notes on page 61. On page 61, this is the benchmark about photosynthesis and how photosynthesis uses sunlight energy to create chemical energy. So what is photosynthesis? Well, like I said, photosynthesis is the ability of a plant to trap light energy and to create sugar. So photo is light, synthesis is to create. So it's using light energy to create sugar. It happens in any cells that have chloroplasts. So plants have chloroplasts, algae, stuff like that. Animal cells do not have chloroplasts, so we do not do photosynthesis. And inside the chloroplast, do you remember when we drew this for third quarter for the cells, we talked about how they look like little jelly beans? Well, these have chlorophyll in it, and the chlorophyll allows it to do photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis is a chemical reaction. So we learned about this in first quarter. When we have chemical reactions, we have ingredients, or they're called reactants. And so there's three reactants here. There's carbon dioxide, CO2, that means there's one carbon and two oxygens. Water, which is H2O, that means two hydrogens and one oxygen. And it needs some sunlight energy. So without these three things, photosynthesis cannot happen. Without sunlight, photosynthesis cannot happen. If you forget to water your plants, photosynthesis cannot happen and it will die. And if it doesn't have enough carbon dioxide, let's say you lock it up into maybe a box and take away all the carbon dioxide, photosynthesis doesn't happen. And through a chemical reaction, what happens is these get broken down, the carbon and oxygen separate, the hydrogen and water separate, and they get rearranged into new molecules. And the new molecules are C6H12O6 and O2. Now we know O2 is oxygen, molecular oxygen over here, but C6H12O6 is a big chemical, but this is glucose. So it has 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens. Now let's think real quick. Do you think photosynthesis happens in the root cells of plants? Why or why not? Now, if you answered no, you would be correct, because in roots, they do not have all three things for it to happen. You need water, you need carbon dioxide, and you need sunlight. So unfortunately, roots do not have sunlight, so they cannot do photosynthesis. Now, if you take the roots out of the ground, they actually still have the DNA to create the chloroplast, and they will turn green, and then they can be photosynthetic. You see this sometimes when you have the potatoes. The potatoes will start sprouting, and you'll see the green shoots coming out of it. All right, so a simple view, as we learned in middle school, you're going to know this level of photosynthesis. So three things go in: sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. Two things come out: oxygen and glucose, and this all happens in the chloroplast. And so at this level, for your My Way for the quiz, this is the level that you need to know. However, in high school, you're going to have to learn a little bit more complex view of photosynthesis. So this is what it might look like in high school. But don't freak out, it's actually the same thing. So three things go in. Do you see the sunlight? Right there. Do you see the carbon dioxide? Right here. And then do you see the water going in? You got some over here and some over here. And then two things come out. Do you see the oxygen? Yeah, oxygen comes out here. And then do you see the glucose? Yeah, glucose comes out here. And it all happens in the chloroplast. So this is just photosynthesis. It's a little bit more complex. And then in college, if you're going to continue learning this, you have to learn an even more complex view. And so here it is. But it's the same thing, right? You still have sunlight going in. You still have water going in here. You still have carbon dioxide going in here. And then the carbon dioxide, glucose comes out here, and oxygen comes out here. So this is maybe the high school level. But like I said, at the middle school level, this is the level you need to do. So on page 61, if you can draw this out, start with maybe a leaf. You can do maybe plankton, anything that's photosynthetic. Talk about the three things going in: sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. And then the two things coming out: oxygen and glucose. And of course, remember to write down where it happens, the chloroplast. All right, let me show you a brief clip of photosynthesis, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Living busy did things to stay alive. Some water and carbon dioxide. Photosynthesis is the process by plants create their own food from sunlight. Take space in sponsors of the leaves inside, where tiny structures called chloroplasts reside. Filled with chlorophyll, it absorbs sunlight, gives plants the green color that we see with our eyes. Absorbs sunlight and use the energy. They split water molecules into pieces. Hydrogen, oxygen go separate ways. Oxygen goes out into the air, released from the leaves. Hydrogen plus CO2 from the coals, which of them will use as food for growth. And the rest is stored in the leaves, roots, all for the use of the future plants.